Audiophile world is experiencing a change. We see many cheap devices coming that sounds great. We see more and more different offers with a end game audiophile features and functionality below €1,000, but also a drastic movement towards more efficiency of Class D. It used to be that Class D are nothing but good for cheap amps, but we see more and more new amps coming with Class D. For example, like new Blue Sound Power Node is coming with a Class D. And it makes me think about the future, what is coming in next 5 to 10 years. But let me first explain differences in classes for those who do not know. I will tackle the 3 most common classes, even though they're not the only one that exist. There are Class G and H that brands like Arcam, Name and NAD use. So I will talk about Class A, B and D. Class A is usually the audiophile favorite class of amps, the most purest signal that is coming from a single transistor, which conducts 100% of the time, avoiding crossover distortion. It is an amazing sound quality. It is pure, clean, with a lot of microdynamics. But it comes with a lot of problems, as the power that transistors create is 75% heat and only 25% of power for speakers, making them superbly ineffective. For any decent power to get out of them, it requires a large heatsink and power supplies, making them very expensive to get some decent power. And it needs to run constantly. The amplifier always draws full current, even when no music is playing, which is not good. For developers to make HIFI more accessible, they decided to merge 2 classes together, Class A and Class B. Class B is very unusual to be seen in audiophile devices, as it has very poor resistance, making the signal very distorted. But it has a great efficiency and it does retain some qualities from Class A and similar architecture. Now, one transistor is Class A and other is Class B, making the current flow only 50% of time, not all the time. It at low levels use Class A, but as the power increases, it switches to Class B to gain more power. It is far more effective than Class A, as it can transmute to 50 to 70% of current into power for speakers. It is the most common class in amplifiers as it retains great quality and great efficiency. Now, depending on quality, it can have some distortion, especially when it switches the amps, and it does not sound as pure and smooth as Class A. And great plus for Class A and B is that transistors are far smaller. It's a compromise to get best of both worlds. And here comes the Class D, which was usually shunned in audiophile worlds. Its transistors can be completely turned on and off. The power goes through pulse width modulation, transistors and filters before becoming a power for your speakers. It is extremely efficient, as most of the current that gets in, 90% becomes a power for your speakers, but it also was not that great into controlling the signal, making a lot of artifacts and distortions on the way, especially with more power output. Therefore, it could mostly be seen on cheaper amps, as it was efficient, it always ran cool, and the size of it is really small. It fits nicely in small boxes, and when executed correctly in architecture, brought good results for cheap. And now in past few years, we can see a lot of improvements in Class D, both in efficiency and quality. Topping is the leader in clean output with B100 and B200, but there are Fosse, SMSL and bunch of others trailing on the Sonic race. With every new iteration, it becomes better and better. Like most common are metal oxide semiconductors. They are cheap, easy to acquire, and when properly integrated, sounds good. There's also a silicon carbide, which is used to power powerful rigs. It is not as cheap or easy to get like metal oxide. They are a bit harder to implement, but they provide a lot of power. There's a great power voltage and temperature resistance, but also is much larger transistor. But now the newest revolution in technology is gallium nitride, and it is an amazing step forward. It is smaller, yet remains a lot of power, and it has ultra-fast switching, creating less distortion, a more cleaner signal, a better transient response and detail. It creates a best choice in Class D for transparency, speed, and power. And now here, I have culmination of all that in this device, SMSL PA-X. It is a GaN FET 250 watt in stereo and 500 watts in mono, and I don't have to tell you how amazing that power is. It is a full mature SMSL from the ones I used to listen, and there are a couple of surprises here. Its ability to dig deep into song you listen to extract details is just crazy good. But let's go first quick word on design and features. I'm not a huge fan of design of SMSL, but the silver color with black screen and sides is really nice. When I unpacked the device, I thought the whole black stripe is a screen, and I was amazed. But unfortunately, only small part of this is screen and rest is just a decorative. Behind you have a very typical affair for stereo amp. You have analog ins and outs. There's an RCA and XLR inputs, which is really great. Ace under the sleeve of this device is that this can work as monoblock. If you have two SMSL PA-X, you can via XLR connect them and have them to work together to reproduce 500 watts. But the weirdest thing is you have to know the impedance of your speakers and you have to manually select 4 or 8 amps for it to send correct power to your speakers. Usually it is automatic, but here you have to manually choose. One thing more that I hate is the remote. It is a basic remote, it is not the functionality of it, but the SMSL remote for all their devices is identical. So, if you have SMSL DAC and SMSL CD and SMSL amp, they all have same looking remotes, which cannot work interchangeably, like some companies create a universal remote that can control more of their devices with a single remote. No, it's the same looking remote, and so many times I grabbed the wrong remote trying to raise the volume, just to be confused that nothing is happening. Please, SMSL, change this somehow. There's a lot of people under your ecosystem of devices, and this is not how you should be treating them. In conclusion, it is a nice looking device and not that heavy or big. It fits everywhere and it is ready to rock your world. So, let's go to Sonics. This is a bit typical SMSL affair. If you like its sound, you will love this device. It is neutral amp, which is a Class D standard, but attack and transients are very forward with highs open and extended. This does not create a bright sound per se, as it is a neutral sound, but it has certain leaniness towards treble and can push speakers that are already bright into an uncomfortable territory a little bit. But this sound is just very clear, transparent and fast. I love that instruments are so well defined on soundstage. They have a quick transients, so then don't expect them to decay longer on soundstage. They are pretty fast. But it is a sound brimming with life and textures. There is no lack of microdynamics here, as it is sound that is able to fastly open and close across the whole frequency board. Will it be bass, will it be midsection, or will it be treble? Going bottom up in sound, the bass is expected a bit of a minus here, a bit of a shy. Not that it does not have its own presence, it pushes a lot of air in the direction of a listener. But that air is condensed and have this attack and forwardness. It is not scoping and big, it is not smooth, it is not prowling. It might be a problem for someone who are used to that soundstage to be super large, that the bass grabs you in all directions. But it was nice. It was detailed, which was really nice. Like on Blade Runner tracks, you can definitely feel that it is not most smooth, like the most large, but the lower notes of synths have this vivid texture to it. It is not smooth, but it is almost raspy, like you can imagine in your head that sound. You can imagine going through that sound with your hand and like feeling the texture of it. It is just the nature of cleanliness of Class D, and without a proper preamp to add spiciness here, it is just the way it is, even in gallium nitride. But things get much better the way you ascend up. There is a certain joy even in balanced nature here, as the sound becomes more forward and clean. So if you listen to more acoustic music, more vocal driven music, like for example, do you listen like Court and Spark from Joni Mitchell, her voice will be nicely rounded and separated and a bit forward, like a bit of showmanship, and it sounds really beautiful. That makes it so nice. There is not much clutter here as the amp organized properly things here. Transparency is on par with more expensive amps. It gives room to breathe. And that helps with organization on soundstage as well. It gave great breadth to the soundstage. Soundstage is not the widest or the biggest, but it is not shy. It is proper, and with a good pairing it can become great. The complexity of instrumentations are being completely held together by this lean structure. Even listening to rock or jazz or some chamber music, it holds itself to not fall apart and lost in the mud. A really big plus for this SMSL device. Imaging was nice, nothing mind-blowing, but same with everything I said here. It is very well controlled and it does not allow to fall off to any side. It represented vocals in the middle, and I can say it plays a bit better with female vocals rather than male vocals. And then it comes the trouble, the hot trouble. We should speak about dynamics here a little bit. While the extraction and insights benefit a lot of Class D here, it is a lack of dynamics that is a bit capping it to become this amp that rivals all other amps on the market. It did remain fast and open at the top, providing details and insight, but it did never extend a lot, and this can be said on all dynamics on entire frequency spectrum. You can see that in a bunch of details you find in percussions, in pianos, in violinas and synth voices. It had their place on the stage, mostly helping the sound to expand. It is fantastic for those who like a bit more punchy sound, as it brings a lot of energy to it. Listen to some Love Supreme to understand what I mean here, but it is lovely how much SMSL is catering us with details. It is unprecedented for amp like this. Just amazing transparency, details and control. For pairing, I loved Polks with them. I think R200 is an amazing choice with this amp. Another amazing choice is a Wharfdale Linton or Special Danton. Its size and scope adds to a lower end and soundstage, allowing this amp to be more dynamically rich, while the amp is allowing speakers to be more clear in midsection. Same like Coacoustic 5020 and 3020i, as a bit darker character to them is complementing the sound well. It is just that the lean nature of SMSL is better complemented with these smooth, warm sounding speakers. DIN Audio Special 40 as well, and some book cards, etc. It can go well with the balanced speakers. Something like Alex is nice, but aim with speakers that have a bigger bass reflex. Avoid bright speakers here and I think you should be fine. Regarding DACs, go with ESS Sabre, if you can, as they are a bit more neutral and will fit the character best. You can also go with AKM, if you like a bit more spicy treble-rich sound. Good and perfect companion is SMSL SU-X, or maybe if you can find Denafrips Enyo for that money, or SMSL RAW DAC Pro 1. It will work great with these DACs. That's a really good combination with these DACs. That intro where I explain classes was not accidental. I really think it ties to the overall picture of future of hi-fi. Currently, the most common class in amplifiers is class AB, but I think that is going to change soon. With the evolution of Class D in ability to control distortion and to retain quality of sound, we can see that Class D, which is a more efficient than Class B, will probably change it. And we can expect soon hybrids of Class A-D to retain that beautiful sound of Class A and to give weight to the sound while using efficiency and clarity of Class D. It is a bit difficult to engineer because Class A and B are very similar, and while Class D uses a bit different architecture to power the speakers. We also see the progress in that area. It is inexpensive amps now like Devialet amps, top-of-the-line Marantz and NAD. But with time, the technology is going to become more cheaper and we will have a new hybrid on the market which will dominate it. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to continuous progression of Class D, and I think the future is hybrid. The future is Class A-D. To me, the closest competitor is actually a sister brand to SMSL, and that is VMV with VMV A1 Pro. It's a $500 GaN amp that uses almost the same architecture as PA-X, but in a more prettier chassis, at least to me. But there are a few differences to think about here. A1 Pro is cheaper, $200, which is a plus, but is 2 times the less powerful than SMSL PA-X. But it lacks one big thing, unless you use it in a stereo. You do not have XLR. There is only mono XLR, while PA-X allows full XLR integration. Now, together in stereo mode, A1 Pro is more expensive, $300 more expensive. But unless you want all-in-one box, the A1 have monoblocks separated, which creates a bit cleaner sound with the same power. So combined, it is a better product. It is a bit more expensive, but it is a better product. It does create more cleaner, more detailed sound. So to you, is all about, will it be like a fast route or a slow route? The fast route is buying SMSL PA-X and you have all in one box right away. Or a slow route, buying A1 and eventually another one, and you can get a better product than a single SMSL. The other alternative is equally priced Advanced Paris XI75. Now, this is a completely different beast. It is a fully integrated Class AB amp, which means it have DAC, it have preamp inside. So I think at some value, Advanced Paris actually is winning this round. It is not as powerful as SMSL, as it does 110 watts comparing to 250 watts of SMSL's power. It does not have clarity and details and precision of SMSL. But it have nice warm sound. It have a really nice interesting sonic signature. It has a more deeper bass, more bigger bass. It has a more smoother sound and a gorgeous silky vocals. But also everything else it does really good. Not at SMSL level, but very good. And it is a great price too. It is for those who want all-in-one box. They don't want to buy extra cables, extra DACs, extra preamps. If you invest in SMSL, you will get more. But if you want all-in-one for the price of SMSL PA-X, you might want to look at Advanced Paris. The other option is a strange one. It is Laiv Harmony GaNM. Now, I have to say I have not heard them. I don't have experience with them, as I am a bit reserved into spending $4,500 to buy this amp. As it is such a steep value for amp, at that price you can get some monster amps. My favorite and endgame amps are here, like Hegel H190V, which is cheaper, a Primaire i35, again a bit cheaper, and they are all integrated amps with great DACs, great preamps and amplification. And of course they are my endgame flagships for me. It is true, Laiv Harmony does have 400 watts in 8 ohms, that is a lot more than Hegel and Primaire. But if you buy two SMSL PA-X, you will also have 400 watts in 8 ohms. And for $2,800 less. That's a lot less money. Like, that is so much more expensive, and I wonder, is it worth it? Like, imagine this scenario. You buy two SMSL PA-X and it costs you $1,400. You add a fantastic DAC of SMSL SUX, and that is $1,000 DAC, and that combined is $2,400. You add Polk R200, and that is $700 more, and the bill now is $3,100. You add streaming, you add Eversolo DMP A6, and that is additional $850 more, and now the bill is around $3,950. And you add some fantastic preamp like Sheet Kara F, which is $800, to a final total of $4,750. And I could even out the price if, for example, instead of Eversolo, you go with VMV Ultra. That is only a bit more expensive than only Laiv Harmony power amp. But you get amazing full system that is easily very high-end. So I wonder how good it is really. I really wonder. Hopefully I will test it someday to see how it works and compares. But I think about this every day. Every day I wonder how good this amp is when it costs so much. I really think about it. I really think a lot about this. This is the first time in my audiophile career that I can consider that a Class D amp can become my daily driver. Usually before I said that Class Ds are astonishing value from amps like Fosse, SMSL AIMA, etc., as they bring so much to the table for little money. But they could never compete with amps I owned in a Class AB, as I just prefer the character of AB a little bit more. And also, if you had a floor-standing speakers like Dali Oberon 5, Q-Acoustics 5040 or Fine Audio F302, which are not big floor standers and not complicated to drive. But the smaller Class D always struggled with them, there was no point using them for these speakers. But not anymore. This amp can comfortably drive even floor-standing speakers. They have a great transparency and details, even to rival more expensive integrated amps. And I can see myself use this as a daily driver. This is a point in my career as an audiophile reviewer that I am shocked and happy with the progress of amps. This is a great amp that have plenty to offer, and if you don't mind a bit more neutral sound signature that doesn't have that wow effect, and just purely enjoy this on the terms of details, extraction, precision and clarity, you will be more than amazed with what you have. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing. Keep daydreaming and see you in our next video. Bye!